Video games.
Yes, you can.
Comic books.
Nothing is impossible.
Sci-fi.
Just
anime.
do it.
If you've been made fun of for it, we're probably going to talk about it.
What are you waiting for?
This is Nerd Radio.
Make your dreams come true.
Welcome to this week's Nerd Radio, wherever you get your podcast. It's part of the BeatPod Studios Network, and of course, all over your social media at Nerd Radio.
Yeah, don't turn that music down, turn it back up.
You like that?
Yeah, I'm rocking out.
Faith No More to
Yes.
rock out to.
That'll get you a copyright violation on YouTube.
Hell yeah. My name's Chuck Beat. I'm your host, joined by James.
Hello, I'm rocking out.
And Al Beck.
I turned my headphones down.
I'm just staring at you the whole time.
It's too loud, you're too old, Al.
Yeah, well, I'm too old.
Yeah, well, there you go. This is the show where we talk about nerd stuff, whether it's comic books, video games, professional wrestling, anime, all that good stuff. Al's into, 20% of it. So
You're going to give him a fifth of it? Do you think he's into 1/5 of that
yeah,
stuff?
about 20% of what we're talking about here.
I think he's into MASH.
Yeah. I think I've heard of 20% of it.
You've heard of 20% of it. So let's start off with the news that's coming out of the world of nerds. Let's start off with comic books, because usually we don't. But one of the first things, typically when I bring comic books in to, it's either to show you guys something I bought, or it's because I will pick up Al's comics. This week, I've got a comic for James.
Woohoo!
I saw this.
Guess who just got himself a comic, bitch?
I saw this at the store yesterday, and it was selling like hotcakes, and I'm like, I think James needs one of these. It is the first issue of Batman Fortnite, 0.1.
Interesting.
It is bagged because there is a code in here for a Harley Quinn skin in
For
Fortnite.
real?
Yes.
Wow. This is mine to keep?
That's yours. Yeah, no, I picked that up for specifically
Look at you.
for
You got a
you,
comic
sir.
daddy now.
Oh, I like that. That's nicer. I like that. A comic daddy. Because I feel like if Chuck's going to pick up your comics and bringing them to you every week, he's kind of your comic bitch.
Right.
But I like having a comic daddy.
It's
Yeah.
different because
Like a
I'm
sugar daddy.
I'm not bringing them every week to you. I'm just like I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
treat. It's
Yeah.
a little treat. So now I got to earn daddy's affection.
Yeah.
What do I have to do to
Yeah.
repay daddy?
That's true.
That's the story of my life here.
We'll discuss that
I
later.
got a couple of daddies. I got a
Got a
morning radio daddy, and I got a comic daddy.
Oh,
There you
man.
go. Yeah, but I haven't cracked the bag. I haven't read it or anything like that. But Batman and Fortnite crossing over, and those things as of release day were already going for double cover. So
Well, dude, I don't think I want to open this up.
you might not want to. You might want to check
I think
out
I'm
how
gonna
much
sit
it's
on
worth.
this one, yeah.
because I know you have played Fortnite. Out of the three of us, you have played the most Fortnite
Yeah.
on Nerd Radio.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know if you're really so into Fortnite. You're like, I
Really,
want Harley
my
Quinn skin.
12 seconds didn't make the board, huh?
No, you're 12 seconds. of
No,
Fortnite.
Al,
You know,
'cause
you're-
I've put hours upon hour. I put like 8 hours in on Fortnite.
Yeah, you know what? I do think we want to go back and challenge that whole fifth of nerd stuff that I
Yeah.
know. Because
That might be-
I think you may have blown that number way out of proportion.
more like a 16th, perhaps.
I'm just saying, I've got 8 hours in on Fortnite.
There you go.
At least 8, maybe 7.25.
That's probably about 6 more hours or 7 more hours than I have spent on Fortnite.
Well, I can only get dominated by 13-year-old kids so much, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, after a while, you got to tap out. I'd rather get dominated by a dominatrix.
Right. It's
You
much
know,
more
let's let a professional dominator dominate me.
much more
instead of-
gratifying.
100%, instead of just some little kid calling me a derogatory term for homosexual and kills me and then says that.
Yep.
Well, thanks.
While we're talking about games and comics crossing over,
And then you come to work and read the text messages from listeners.
Yeah, and then they call me the same thing.
Yeah, well,
okay, thanks, guys.
Same thing.
I'm glad we've all matured.
while we're talking about games and comic books crossing over, do you remember the Telltale Walking Dead games?
Yes.
Came out a few
Yeah.
years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
That the little girl Clementine that was the lead character of the games. Well, she
They
is.
did a Batman Telltale, too, didn't
They
they?
did a Guardians of the Galaxy. They had a series a couple of years there where they did a couple of Batmans. They did a Guardians of the Galaxy one. They did a bunch of stuff. They did a Borderlands one that was really good. That's the only one I played all of.
They
I
did.
think.
So they took a video game and then they turned it into a Telltale video game? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so that it was more like a point-and-click adventure.
I gotcha. Like, to me, those games, they're interesting because it's like you're involved in a story.
Yes.
To me, like, I don't know if this is where you're going, but it's like an interactive comic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
the art style is very lends itself to the comic book style as well.
Yeah.
But the character Clementine will be making her comic book debut in July in an anthology, a 5-issue weekly limited series called Skybound X. Skybound Entertainment is Robert Kirkman's.
So it's going the reverse way. They've turned comic books into into a video game. Now they're turning the video game back.
Yeah,
into
now they're
comic,
taking the video game character and then introducing her into the comic book world. Robert Kirkman is also supposed to be doing a future story of Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, and this called Rick Grimes 2000. And that's gonna be coming out in July, courtesy of Image Comics, which would be pretty cool. And while we're talking about comics, how about our favorite punching bag, Rob Liefeld?
yeah, and his feet.
and his feet.
Oh, this is the guy who can't draw feet.
This is the guy who can't draw feet. So Rob Liefeld...
Yeah. Quentin Tarantino would not like his work.
Not at all. Rob Liefeld announced about a week ago that he was going to do an NFT drop. You guys have heard of NFTs, I'm sure.
Yeah, which is just like you're buying a digital copy of something, and you own the ownership of it, but nothing really changes.
Right. And then
you can say, I own a digital version of
it's supposed to be the new version of the cryptocurrency. Is that like, I own this digital version of this, and there's only so many of them, so eventually I can sell it for more.
Yeah.
You know, the WWE were doing Undertakers.
Ones. Yeah, I was curious what Undertaker NFTs are actually selling.
I'm like, I could buy an Undertaker NFT, or I could just watch that match.
Yeah. I got my Peacock. I got the Peacock app. I don't need to spend Did you see how much they were charging for those NFTs?
I did not.
Oh, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm paying $5 a month for Peacock. I think I got what I need.
Yeah, exactly. So Rob Liefeld was going to start a new comic book, a new superhero team, courtesy of NFTs. So you would have to buy a copy of it. But he changed his mind. He posted just a couple of days on Facebook. He was going to have an NFT drop this weekend. It was submitted and prepared weeks in advance, but he pulled it because too much unknown environmental concerns, market concerns. There were a bunch of spin-off pieces and tokens. So all these bold new characters will meet you a little later on down the road is the official word. And let me show you guys. I got it on my phone here.
He does seem like a little bitch, that Rob Liefeld.
These bold new characters who all look like other characters you've already seen.
The guy on the left looks like Michael Rooker's character in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep. There's
wow, that woman's got huge knockers.
Yeah, there's the woman in the front with the abs. She looks a lot like I think it's Titania.
She looks like Victoria Silvstedt, Playboy model of the year back in the 90s.
There's a Deadpool / Spider-Man looking character here. There's a Rocky character. There's a demon character. It's just it's Rob Liefeld.
Yeah. Just another thing to remind us that he created Deadpool.
Yeah.
You know, like he's every so often got to pop up and remind us that there would be no Deadpool without him.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they hadn't gotten Deadpool away from him, he might not be a popular character.
That's true. Yeah, he definitely, his personality really flourished once Rob Liefeld left for Image Comics.
It's true.
Did you guys used to watch American Gladiators?
Yeah, dude. As a kid, loved it.
ESPN is going to do one of their 30 for 30 specials on American Gladiators.
Wonder what Nitro's up to.
Right.
That's a good. Per Deadline, the upcoming special about the iconic sports competition show will be a joint production of ESPN and Vice Studios and feature appearances from former Gladiator personalities. They don't say which ones.
Yeah. I think that Pluto TV's got an American Gladiators channel.
Really?
I stumbled across something.
Yeah.
I only watched it for about 5 minutes before I moved on, but it was definitely a little nostalgia.
Can't believe you only watched it for 5 minutes, Al. What did you have to do that was that much more important?
Did you watch something else?
Watch an American Gladiator take out some chump with those tennis balls from that platform?
That was the coolest event, wasn't it?
I always wanted to do that event. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm spitting all over the place. That was the one event I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because you got to play with the other Nerf guns to shoot at the
gladiator.
Gladiator.
There was the one that looked like a bazooka, and there's the one that looked like a rifle.
Yeah, because I think you started out with like just tennis balls. You throw them like grenades.
Yeah.
Throwing them like grenades. And you move on to the next one. It's like a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Boink. Oh, I missed. And then you get to that cannon. Memories.
What a great show.
Yeah.
American Gladiators. And then we'll get to find out the kind of behind the scenes of it.
And I have a feeling, though, some of those Gladiators is probably not a very happy
no,
I'm sure.
ending. I'm sure there's a lot of steroid abuse, drug abuse.
Yeah.
You know.
It says in the article I've got up here, it ran in syndication from September 1989 to May 1996. I had no idea it lasted so long.
May 1996.
I remember when it first came out, maybe the first 2 years, it was on Sunday mornings, like right after WWE's Wrestling Challenge.
That's probably why I started watching it.
Yeah.
'Cause it was right after wrestling. You got some other like sportsy type programming, and then you get sucked in. But so in syndication, so that means it could have just been reruns up to 96.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I feel like 96.
I wonder if American Gladiators was predetermined.
No.
Considering it was right next to wrestling.
Come on.
Tune in to 30 to 30 for find out. Or
Right.
3430. I don't know what the frick anything's called.
That's a hell of a tease, though.
Yeah.
You need to be working for that in the TV network right there. What's American Gladiators? Outcomes predetermined. Tune in. ESPN.com or whatever. I don't know.
Amy, a couple of weeks ago, bought the entire second season of that Dark Side of the Ring show on Vice TV.
Really?
On YouTube. And she's just been, like, before this, she'll put a show on in the background while she's working on her computer, and it'll just cycle over and over again. Before this, it was Hannibal, NBC's Hannibal.
Okay.
But she would she'd probably seen she watches the first 2 seasons, but hates the third season, so she doesn't watch that one. But she's probably seen them at least a dozen times. And now, like, every time I walk by her office, I hear a different episode of Dark Side of the Ring. She's getting to the point she's going to know more about wrestling than I do.
Watch out.
She's going to be the primary wrestling. But she, like, she'll watch the wrestling shows, but she's more interested in the behind-the-scenes stuff, the documentary
Just coming
stuff.
for your spot on your wrestling podcast.
On my wrestling, on the One Ball show? Yeah. I've already been demoted from host to contestant. So
well, you're just a contestant now. She's coming for your host gig.
Yep.
Maybe she should get gun for my job. Amy, pay attention.
Speaking of documentaries and wrestling and stuff, did you guys see that Stone Cold thing on?
I did not see it. It's on my list.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to the Stone. I'm watching it though. I did record it.
It's good.
Because I do have nostalgia for the Attitude Era stuff, because that's when I was into wrestling. Yeah. So you can still get me in a YouTube rabbit hole of watching The Rock or Stone Cold or something like that. And so I saw a promo. I don't know what the hell I was watching, but it came up. I was like, oh, man, like I'm definitely doing this. And they also got that new other show that like where they're hunting down artifacts.
Oh yeah, it's like Pawn Stars, but with those
professional wrestlers.
Yeah,
paraphernalia.
So that I watched because I think that it's only an hour episode, and the Stone Cold biography was
2.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 hours of Stone Cold.
Yeah,
can't wait.
Yeah, they got a lot of cool footage in there, and it's in interviews and stuff. It's real good. So I didn't see that other one. How is that?
I thought it was cool. It's gonna be it's a thing that I'm gonna keep watching, but only if it's a wrestler that I care about.
Yeah.
And of course, the first episode was Mick Foley, so
Awesome.
I was on board for that.
So what? They just had Mick Foley like hunt down one of his
basically
masks?
it's like it's a thing where there's like it's not a problem that collectors have these things. It's not like anyone stole it,
right?
But
it's passed through so many hands.
Yeah, the premise is they're trying to go through and kind of fill out the WWE warehouse. And so this is like the biggest memorabilia collection for the company that exists is in their warehouse. And there are some key items that they want to get. So they go get a wrestler, so in this case Mick Foley, and it's like, what are some of the things that you have to have like in a Mick Foley exhibit?
Okay.
And a couple of things he came up with is one of the original Mr. Saccos, the original plaid vest for Cactus Jack, and also
flannel.
The original brown, like partially leather Mankind shirt before he started wearing the button up,
Yeah.
And so those are owned by collectors, at least the premise of the show. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know how real
I don't know how real it is. But
are you telling me this show's predetermined too?
Yes. Yeah.
Nothing's real, Chuck.
Yeah. I wish Nerd Radio was predetermined so I could figure out how to get out of here. But I'd skip right to the ending every time. But so then he like goes to the collector's house. Like, let's say, Chuck, you've got the original Mr. Sacco.
Right.
Mankind's knocking on your door, and they try to make a deal with you. That's where it's really like Pawn Stars like.
Right.
All right, you've got Mr. Sacco. We want it. Let's make a deal. Maybe it's
Interesting.
money.
I'd be
Maybe
terrified.
there's a bartering system or something like that. So
Terrified.
right.
Would you?
If you got a professional wrestler pounding on your door,
Yeah.
I heard you have my golden chain. I don't know what wrestler I am, but I'm making up a fictitious wrestler. I heard you have my gold chain, and I'm here to take it back. I'd be like, oh, it's yours. Please don't beat me up, a really buff senior citizen.
Yeah.
I'd be
You've
terrified.
got my bronzer there, brother.
Oh, no. Yeah. Incredible Hulk shows up. You got my bandana, brother. I'm like, I thought you had plenty of those bandanas, Hulkster. I'm so sorry.
I like that you call him Incredible Hulk.
Get my Hulks confused.
But like, but the other cool thing about it is it's not just that part of it. Obviously, they're giving some insights into
some of the history of whatever
some of the history
item
of the
is.
stuff. Like, and they're obviously going to be doing this with a different wrestler each episode. So there was a clip, and I'm not even going to say what he said, but there's a clip of Undertaker talking about the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah.
So so it's really cool that they work in the history with it, and Mick Foley talks about where the Mankind mask came from, and so it's all sorts of cool stuff. So I actually really enjoyed it. I have a feeling, I think the second episode might be The Undertaker, so I'm definitely on board for that.
Right.
But I'll probably be a thing I leave on my DVR, and if it's someone I don't care about, I'll just delete it. But
I'm going to be watching it in the same way that when Kevin Smith's Comic Shop had a reality show.
Yeah, Comic Book Man.
I watched that for the first season because I wanted to see somebody, because part of the show was people would bring stuff in and they would look at it and like Pawn Stars, and then they'd say, we'll give you this much for it, and then they'd banter a little bit, and then they'd eventually buy it. And I constantly wanted somebody to just be like, nope, and walk out the door. And I feel like I'm going to watch this show the exact same way. As I'm going to watch episode after episode waiting for them to like hand somebody a blank check and then be like, no, I'm sorry, this is irreplaceable. I'm keeping this Ric Flair robe.
Yeah.
I'm keeping the Rock sunglasses.
Considering how intrigued I was by it, I think you two will have a really good time with that show.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
As long as they keep good wrestlers, popular wrestlers looking for cool items. Like, I don't want to see Doink look for the green wig. I don't want Gangrel to look for his chalice of blood that him and Edge would drink out of with Christian.
Scotty Too Hottie is like, you've got my original lid that I would wear when I did
don't
the
think
work.
Scotty Too Hottie has any kind of a response.
Yeah, well, he's showing up for the Mr. Ass episode, though.
Yes, I want the Mr. Ass briefs. Give me those original briefs with the lips that say Mr. Ass.
All right, I want to propose before we go into break.
yeah. What about the Val Venus episode?
Oh, give me
my
that
goodness.
towel. Yeah. Give me that towel.
I want to propose a scenario for you guys before we go into break here. So let's say that James has spent an undisclosed amount of money on a pair of John Cena's jorts.
Jorts.
And one day John Cena shows up at James' house and knocks on the door.
There's bartering.
Cameras.
It doesn't have to be money, James. You can barter with him.
Can you?
Let's hop in my hot tub, Cena. Want to go for a dip in the pool? You want to wrestle? Let's wrestle. Let's do some pool wrestling like when I was a kid. Wrestling around with my buds in the pool. I'm gonna put you in the rear naked choke.
He wants to play pool chicken with him. He wants to be the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
No, get on my shoulders, John. Feel that big lump rubbing around the back of my neck. Yeah. I knew you were hung.
Oh God! And then after all that, he still keeps the jorts.
Yeah.
Right.
Then I'm like, oh, I don't realize this is a trade.
I thought you just came over to
You wanted to hang out and josh around. I just
pool.
thought you wanted to josh around in the pool.
Right.
Oh God.
Well, I think we've peaked for this week's Nerd Radio, but I still have plenty of stories to talk about when we come back, including PlayStation has reversed course on something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is pretty cool. Also, somebody tried to do a pacifist run of Grand Theft Auto 5, and we'll try and see exactly how many people you still end up killing when you try not to kill any people in Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
That's next on Nerd Radio.